17-year-old Jordan Washington are suing Jordan's former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, for stealing his iPod.
Order. All rise.
Now it's case number 22 on the calendar in the matter of Harris, Washington versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
How old are you?
17.
What's your first name?
Jordan.
Jordan, you're a very tall boy.
Yes.
Woo! 17 years old. How tall are you?
6'6".
Life's not fair. All I wanted to be was 5'4".
All I wanted to do was be rich.
You made it.
Yeah.
Jordan, you play baseball?
Basketball.
Basketball. And this was your coach?
Yes.
Not your coach anymore?
Right.
And you and your mother are suing him over an iPod?
Correct.
An iPod that Mr. Johnson said he did in fact sell. He's not even sure it belonged to you, but he has some story to tell me that he thinks justifies taking your iPod and selling it, and then he has a counterclaim for certain money that he says he extended to you, Jordan, and some harassment nonsense. So, Mr. Johnson, why don't you tell me about the iPod?
I know very little about the iPod until the incident happened.
Well, you were traveling, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you traveling?
It was in July of 2009.
And you were traveling with the team?
Yes, ma'am.
Jordan was a member of the team?
At that time, yes, ma'am.
You were traveling by bus?
We rented a 12-passenger van.
Is he the tallest one on the team?
At that time, yes, he was.
Where'd you get the iPod from, Jordan?
I bought it from a friend.
What friend?
Caleb.
When did you buy it from Caleb?
Say about March of 09.
How much did you pay him for it?
$300.
Back in March of 09, what were they selling them for in the store?
$400. $450.
Why wouldn't you buy one from the store?
Because my friend was selling it for cheaper.
Where did he get it from?
He got it from the store.
Okay. So tell me, now you're traveling by bus, Mr. Johnson, and what happened?
Well, to make the story right, my witness here can testify as to when the iPod first came in question.
Okay. Who are you?
Tammy Williams.
How do you know these people?
I'm his wife, and I'm the team manager, team mom. I take care of all the tournaments, make all the reservations.
Tell me what you know about this iPod.
I do know that we had got to our destination.
Which was where?
Las Vegas, Nevada. And Jordan approached me and told me that his iPod was missing. I told him, did you check your bag good enough? And Jordan said he did and he couldn't find it. Told him, go check the van. He said, well, maybe someone took it. And I told him, no one took it. So let everyone get their stuff out the van first. Go back and search the van. It's probably in the van. After that, I didn't hear anything about it until a couple days later. That time I had assumed that Jordan had found it because he never mentioned it anymore.
Okay. Then you can pick it up, Mr. Johnson.
Well, I was made aware of an incident concerning a player having money stolen from him. And so we decided to have a team meeting to try to get to the bottom of what was going on. And during that meeting, it was discovered, which he later admitted to, that Jordan was the perpetrator of stealing the $20 from the
Well, tell me what Jordan said to you at that meeting.
At the initial meeting, when we had everybody, we called it kind of holding court. And so when I confronted Jordan, it was laughed off at like it was a prank. So at that time, I was like, man, give him his money back and be done with it. And that was the last I heard
Jordan,
at that time.
is that correct?
That's incorrect.
Tell me about the $20.
Okay.
Don't look up there. Up there's not going to help you.
Okay. After my iPod was missing for about 2 days, I was upset, and I seen a wallet on the bed. And I looked in it, and there's some money in there. I was upset about the iPod, so I just took I took $20 out of the iPod. I mean, out of the wallet.
Out of one of your teammates' wallets?
Yes, it was just sitting there.
I don't care if it was sitting there or doing a jig. You stole $20 out of his wallet.
Okay.
So, Mr. Johnson, you gave the player the $20?
Actually, my wife gave the player
the $20.
He had been given the opportunity to return that money earlier in the day, and he never would do that. He told me he had left the money in his bag in the room, and I told him I would be going in his bag to retrieve the money to give it back to the player. When I got to the room, there was no money in the bag. So I had to wait for Jordan to come back from sightseeing to once again have the team meeting again and confront him about the $20.
And what happened at that meeting?
This is when his whole attitude really flipped on me. He, matter of fact, told me that he had no intentions of returning the money, and I was kind of thrown aback, and I asked him, well, why? What's going on? Why would you take your teammates' money? And he said, well, somebody stole my iPod. And I said, Jordan, nobody stole your iPod. I said, I got 12 teenagers pretty much living out of a 12-passenger van. The van is a mess. Did you go down there and search it? He said, no. I said, I'll tell you what, I am going to sleep. I'm tired. I've been coaching all day. I've been driving most of the time. I'm tired. You have till I wake up the next morning to go clean the van out to go get your iPod. If I get down there the next morning and I find that iPod, it belongs to me now because I had to pay the kid the $20 to keep the peace. And I basically told him he sold his iPod for $20.
So you said, I returned the $20 that you stole to the young man. If I go down and find your iPod, the iPod belongs to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went down, and lo and behold, what'd you find in the van?
First thing, when I opened the door, I looked under the seat where he was sitting, and there's a beautiful iPod sitting right under the seat where he was sitting at.
So what'd you do with it?
I walked up to the room, pretty upset still. I'm a coach. I get kind of animated. And I told him, I said, look, you got to the next morning when we get back home in Bakersfield. Bring me my $20. Other iPod is mine, and I'll do with it whatever I want to.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 17-year-old Jordan Washington says his former basketball coach, Devin Johnson, stole his iPod. Devin says he was trying to teach Jordan a lesson, and he is countersuing for an unpaid loan.
Now, Jordan, why didn't you return the $20 to the coach? I believe what he says, that he said to you, I have your iPod. When we get back to Bakersfield, give me the $20 back, because nobody stole your iPod. You just dropped it on the floor. Just give me back the $20, and I'll give you the iPod. Otherwise, I'm going to sell the iPod or do whatever I want to do with it, and I'll pay myself back. Why didn't you just give him back the $20?
I didn't have the $20 at the time.
What'd you do with it?
I already spent it.
On what?
Vegas. It was Vegas. Spent it.
May I say something, Your Honor? And actually, mind you, when he left to leave with us to Vegas, he didn't have his tournament money, and he had no money in his pocket. My wife felt sorry for him and was giving him spending money during that time just to put something in his pocket. So he didn't even have to steal from the boy. It might not have been a lot of money, but it was $10 here, $10 there. And that Jordan, he didn't appreciate that.
Did the Johnsons give you any money when you were traveling?
They gave me approximately $10. They gave me $10 to eat, okay?
Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Actually, Your Honor, I was purchasing him food, as other boys. He wasn't the only one. Some of them had more money than others. When they wanted to go sightsee, I gave him money. I gave that day, over the time, I gave over a couple $100. I'm giving 10 here, 15 here, and buying their meals.
You have some source of revenue from this team?
No.
No, actually, Your Honor, it's just a neighborhood traveling team. I just started to try to help at-risk kids in our community.
How is it funded?
By car washes, and then whatever we don't make up on car wash, we've split amongst the kids, and they have to come up with $20, $25, whatever to travel.
Well, how do you get the van? The van is more than $20, $25.
Through car washes, we kick in some money. You know, we just do what's necessary. Actually, Your Honor, I have a little article and some stuff that has, to show that we've been doing it for 8 years now. We're very serious about trying to make a difference.
How long were you on the team, Jordan?
I say about 3 months.
How long were the other kids on the team?
Since they were young, childhood.
What?
When Jordan told me what had happened, Jordan, I, and a friend had met with Mr. Johnson at the park. We waited till he finished Little League football. He was coaching. And I talked to him about the iPod. He told me what had happened. And he never once brought up that Jordan owed him any money. I asked him for the iPod back. He said that he had sold it. I said, well, you're either going to have to give him the iPod back or the money. And he just basically said, take him to court. And he went on and on about street justice, and I'm from the hood, and this is how we deal with that. And I said, I don't care where you're from. Legally, you're not supposed to hold somebody's property in payment of anything.
You're right.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Just a second. You're right. But what I want to know, Ms. Harris, is what did you do and say to your son with regard to stealing this boy's money because he was angry?
I told Jordan he was wrong and he was going to have to accept responsibility.
Did he give the money back?
And no money was ever mentioned to me.
Listen to me. You didn't hear my question, Miss Harris.
Did he give the money back?
Did he give the money back to the boy who he stole it from?
No, he didn't.
Well, you come back to me, Miss Harris, when your son gives back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. You come back to me and ask for some justice from the court. Do you understand?
Yes.
You can't come into a court and say, I stole, but there are no consequences. And somebody who, in effect, took the law into his own hands and decided what an appropriate response would be in his capacity as coach, I think it was wrong. Put your hand down, sir. I think it was wrong. But he doesn't have clean hands. He sort of thinks it was okay because he thought somebody stole his iPod. It was okay for him to steal out of somebody's wallet. Would you think if you saw a wallet sitting over there, you had the right to go into a wallet and take money?
No.
Of course not. Where do you think he gets that from?
He basically was trying to get the iPod back.
No. That had nothing to do with it. You're making excuses for him, Miss Harris. That's an excuse. He just said to me he was mad because he thought somebody stole his iPod, so he was going to steal somebody's money.
Yes.
There were 12 people. I mean, more likely than not, he lost it rather than somebody stealing it. As it happened, that's what happened. He lost it. He found it, but he didn't even bother to look for it. It wasn't right under his nose, so he assumed somebody stole it. But that doesn't give him the right to go and steal somebody's money. So you come to me after your son pays back the $20 to the boy who he stole from. Then I'm going to entertain his case for the return of his iPod. We understand each other, Jordan?
Yes.
Perfect. How long ago did you steal this money?
It was during the trip, July 7th.
You've had almost a year to return the money.
The boy and I made arrangements.
To what?
To where I would have to, like, help him with his homework. I go to the same high school as he do.
And?
He struggles in a subject, and I help him, and the debt is already paid off. Instead of paying him $20, I helped him on his homework.
Why didn't you pay him back his $20 and help him with his homework anyway?
Your Honor, I find it real funny that he says he helped this man with his homework. Jordan has been in 5 schools in the last 4 years because of academic and failing grades. Caleb is a top-notch student. There's no way this young man is going to help that kid with his homework. He's 50 credits behind in school. I tried to help him out with coaching my football team to earn 10 more credits. He didn't complete that.
Does that sound right, Mr. Washington?
That's not true.
What subjects were you helping Caleb in?
Algebra, math.
Algebra is math.
Oh, yes.
Come to me with proof, sir, that you, in fact, paid back the $20, and I'll hear your claim with regard to the return of your iPod. It is your claim that you advanced some money to Jordan.
Yes, Your Honor.
You can't create a debt with a minor.
I understand that, Your Honor, but...
Unless his mother agreed to repay you.
Can I tell you how that came about?
Absolutely.
During that time, Caleb was living with his father. I had never met the mother until after this incident, okay? When I brought Jordan home, I presented the iPod to his dad. It was not received because there was a question to where he got the iPod from.
What do you mean it wasn't received?
Well, when I tried to give the iPod to his father said, I don't want it because I don't know where my son got it from, and through his investigation, he couldn't find out where he got it from. So he would not take the iPod back. So that's when I decided I had to go ahead and sell it because it was a question. When can I bring my counterclaim up?
I asked you about it, but you were hell-bent on telling me this story, which isn't, as it happened, an interesting story.
Now, when I'm suing for the counterclaim, he didn't have his tournament money. It was agreed upon, what I assumed his parents, that when we returned.
With whom?
Well, at the time, it was his father, but I didn't know his mother was involved in his life at the time. So I didn't know, if it was either one. Whoever has supposed to have custody of him now. But on top of that,
tournament money, sir, is not a necessary. It's not food, clothing, or shelter. So you can't hold Miss Harris responsible.
He needed food and shelter while he was in Vegas.
But you didn't make an agreement with her.
Okay.
To take him on a tournament. You made an agreement with his father.
I'll concede that, no problem. Now, I have another question now that I'm going for harassment, because him, his mother, and the boyfriend approached my practice, disrupted my practice, and were claiming about the iPod, and then totally...
You better stop doing that, Miss Harris. Do you understand?
Yes.
Your son is a thief. He stole money. That's what you should be concerned about. I don't know if he stole the iPod. I believe the story Mr. Johnson tells me that his father says, I'm not touching this iPod because I don't know where he got it from. Because certainly I didn't give him $300 for an iPod. And I assume that at the time he was living with his father. Is that right?
No, he was there on summer vacation with his father.
I assume he was living with his father at the time.
Yes.
That's living with. Summer. Do you mean June, July, and August?
Yes.
Okay. So he was living with his father and he wasn't sure. Did you give him $300 for an iPod?
No.
Was he working?
Yes.
Where?
Paper route.
When?
He's been doing the paper route since '07.
And so the money he got from the paper route he used to buy the iPod, is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Did you tell that to your father?
No, my father knew nothing about the iPod.
He says he went to return it.
Until that's the only time he knew about the iPod, me having an iPod.
Huh.
Your Honor, when his father called me, and told me about the incident in Vegas, he never mentioned to me about an iPod or about Coach D having his iPod. Him and Coach D are friends. They've known each other for years, and he basically didn't want to get involved because Jordan is his son and the coach is his friend.
Miss Harris, who started this problem?
Jordan, by stealing.
Right. I'm not excusing Mr. Johnson. I think that he did the wrong thing by selling the iPod, if he sold it. But your emphasis should not be on Mr. Johnson. Your emphasis should be on your son's conduct.
Yes, ma'am. He's basically a good kid, and this never happened before.
Fine. If he's basically a good kid and this never happened before, fine. But don't make excuses. And the fact that it sounds to me like Mr. Johnson donates a lot of time to the community to try to do good things, right?
Yes, but it was wrong what he did.
Yes, it was wrong what he did. He didn't steal. He exercised bad judgment with regard to teaching your son a lesson.
Yes.
That's different from stealing. That's different from a conscious act of trying to deprive someone else of their property knowing it's the wrong thing to do. And that's where your emphasis should be. And I suggest you and your son and your boyfriend stay away from Mr. Johnson. And if you want to see me again, you'll come back to see me again, having established to my satisfaction that your son's debt is paid. Do we understand each other?
Yes. Can I say
That's
one more
all.
thing?
Excuse me.
His mother.
Okay, but you don't know anything about this case particularly, do you?
No.
Except that the car belonged to you.
Belongs to both of us.
Are you both on the title?
Yes.
Why don't you sit down for a moment? You're Monica?
Yes.
This was your boyfriend?
Yes.
How long was he your boyfriend?
For about 3 years.
Monica, you say that he broke your cell phone and vandalized your car.
Yes.
He says he didn't do it. So tell me when he vandalized your car.
It was like about 1:30, and he showed up at my house.
1:30
in the morning.
On what date?
July 28th.
Where were you?
I was at home.
Who else was at home?
My sister.
It was 1:30 a.m. Do you live with your sister?
Yes, I do.
What does your sister do for a living?
She works at Premier Real Estate. She's a
And what do you do?
receptionist.
What do you do?
I'm a cashier.
Where?
At Rite Aid.
How long have you been working there?
In October, it'll be a year.
Mr. Trujillo?
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a tattoo artist.
You work for yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
What does that mean?
I'm not working at a shop right now.
So where do you work from?
Out of my house.
Are you licensed?
No.
Do you have to be licensed where you live?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in California.
And in California, you don't need a license to give somebody a tattoo with
No,
a
you
needle?
don't.
That's a big mistake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you need a license to give somebody a pedicure,
Yeah.
but not to give somebody a tattoo.
No.
You
Not.
sure about that?
I'm positive about that.
Anyway, you make a living at this?
Yeah.
Well, especially since you have no overhead.
What's that? No. What? No. What? No.
Overhead.
Overhead? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was over my head. Sorry.
Unfortunately, Mr. Trujillo, that was true.
Right. Sorry about that.
All right, Miss Vasquez, why don't you tell me about what happened on the 28th of July?
Okay, he showed up at my house, and he knocked on my window. I came out of my room, and I went to the garage, because he went around the house. And I had told him to leave because my sister did not want him around her house.
Why did he come there?
He was...
He said you called him.
No, I did not call him.
You say in your papers, sir, that you went over to the house at 1:30 on July 28th because she called you.
Yeah, we had been talking.
No. Because she called you on July 28th. That's
Okay.
why you said you went over there, right?
Right.
And how did she call you? On your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have your cell phone records?
No. I'm sure if I went and got them, I could bring them back to you. I mean, if you wanted to, another
We
day or
don't do
something.
do-overs here, Mr. Trujillo. What we do is When you're coming to court, you're supposed to be prepared. You know what it's like, Mr. Trujillo? You do tattooing?
Yeah.
In your house.
Right.
Let's say you made an appointment with somebody who's going to get a really big tattoo. They were going to pay a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
For the tattoo. And let's say they arrived and they sat down for you to do the tattoo and you forgot to buy ink.
Right, right. Yeah, it's happened a couple times.
That's what it's like, Mr. Trujillo, when you come here without evidence.
Yeah, I understand.
With just your good looks and tattoo. That's what happens. You're supposed to bring evidence, bring proof. So we have no proof that she called you to arrive at her house at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so you went outside and you told him to disappear.
Yes.
And what happened?
And by that time, my sister had came out because she heard the knock, because our rooms are right next door. And she had went out and told him to leave her house because she was going to call the
police.
Because the incident with the phone.
Oh, so the incident with the phone happened first?
Yes.
And that happened about a month before?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay, I was at work, and I get out of work at 10, and he showed up at my work, so I left.
Had you not been seeing each other?
No.
Go ahead.
And I left my work, and he followed me down the street, and he was telling me to pull over, and he was next to me in my car. And so I pulled over because he was coming closer to my car, and he had said that if I didn't pull over, he would go to my house and, like, break windows. And so I pulled over, and he had got my phone to check it for what, I don't know, we weren't together. And I was telling him to give me back my phone, and he was like, "You want your phone?" So he cracked it in half and gave it to me. And so...
Had he been drinking?
Yes, he had a beer in his car.
Who else was in the car?
He was by himself that night.
You got to get a job out of the house, Mr. Trujillo.
Okay.
Listen to me, sir. First, I want you to tell me who these people are that you brought with you to court today.
I brought my dad to court with me today and my brother Fabian. This is my dad, Johnny, and Fabian is Silo.
Yeah, and you all live together?
No.
Do you live alone?
No, I live with my uncle.
Why?
Because my dad has recently moved, and he had moved in with someone else, and there wasn't enough room, so I actually went to live with my uncle.
And where does your brother live?
With his grandpa.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old is your brother?
19.
Who did your father move in with?
His girlfriend.
Was there a time you were all living together?
At one time, yeah.
When was the last time you lived together with your father?
About 2 months ago, I lived with my dad in Visalia.
And your brother also lived with your father?
No, no. My brother has always lived with his grandpa in Tulare.
Did you break her phone?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Well, tell me what happened, Mr. Trujillo.
Me and Monica had been seeing each other before this incident with the cell phone happened. We had been talking, and we had been texting each other, and she had told me that she got out of work at 10 o'clock, and that if I wanted to see her after work. And I said, okay, cool. I had the car, so I said, okay, I'll meet you at Taco Bell. So we went, and we met at Taco Bell parking lot, and we were there. Everything was fine. We were talking, hugging. Everything was cool. And then a call comes through on my phone. And when a call comes through on my phone, it was a ringtone, as, you know, the ringtones, like I know you've heard them, like the lovey-dovey ringtones, like the, you know what I mean, like the guy and girl together ringtones. You know what I'm talking about or no? Like, I mean, I could sing one.
Special song or something.
Like, I mean, I could sing one for you, if you want me to sing one. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, at the time when that had happened, we were both kind of looking at each other because I was already like, okay, you know, something's wrong, I messed up. So Monica had...
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that time, Monica had snatched my phone out of my hand. And when that had happened, she snatched my phone, and I reached for it back. We kind of got into an argument, a little conflict, you know what I mean? And
who was calling you, Mr. Trujillo?
Just a friend.
Boyfriend or a girlfriend?
It was a girlfriend.
The timing was really terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't expected.
It was messed up.
Yeah, it was at the right time. So when that had happened, I was leaning up against my car, and Monica had thrown my phone at me. Well, when she had thrown my phone at me, somehow, and you can tell she has little hands. I don't know how she had both phones in her hand, but when she had thrown it at me, my phone rolled over the car, the hood of the car, and her phone hit my car and broke. However it broke, it was snapped in half, and that's basically what happened.
When he met you at Taco Bell, had you told him that you were going to be out of work at 10 o'clock?
No, he called my work around 10, and he said, I was around the corner. He goes, I'll be there right now. And I was like, I'm going home, I'm leaving. And at that point, my boss had opened the doors to let me leave earlier than everybody else, because I had told him. And when I got in my car to leave, he was already at the corner, and that's when he just followed me.
Do you think if I called her boss would say that they opened the door and let her out a little early?
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
What's your boss's name?
David Centeno.
Give me his number.
It's my phone, and my phone is out there.
The Rite Aid number, 67816. There you go.
7816? Now, Mr. Trujillo.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
When somebody tells me I tend to disbelieve everything that they say, especially when I have to get my rather sizable keister off this chair and go in the back to make a telephone call. Do you understand?
Oh, yes.
Now, I am prepared to do that.
Okay.
Unless you want to revise your version of the cell phone events.
No, ma'am. No, not at all.
Okay, so let's call Mr. David, because he doesn't have any clue that I might be calling him. He is going to tell me whether or not he let her out early because you were going to come over.
Right.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Yes, is David Santano there, please? David, this is Judge Judy Sheindlin. How are you? Good, thank you. David, I have a question for you. I'm here trying a case with Monica Vasquez. And I want you to think back to sometime around the end of June of this year, in the evening when she was leaving. There was an incident with her boyfriend when he called the store. Do you remember that? Could you tell me what happened, please, David? Mm-hmm. Okay. Wonderful. David, you're a very, very nice man for speaking to me. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Boss is a very nice gentleman. Mr. Trujillo, I suggest you spend a little less time tattooing and piercing yourself and a little more time honing your truthful skills, sir. Honing your truthful skills. Ask your father what that means. Honing your truthful skills, sir.
Oh, okay.
Because Mr. Santano says that he remembers the evening very well. You would call the store. You said, I'm going to get down there before the store closes. They let her leave early, and they stood there to watch her get in her car and take off before you got there because she had already broken up with you, and she was afraid about what was going to happen if you got there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So now I believe very little, sir, of what you're going to tell me. So now he owes you a cell phone. Now I want you to tell me what happened when he vandalized your car.
Okay, that was the night he showed up at my window.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you came out, you told him to leave. Sister came out, and you told him to leave. And I understand that there were other people with him.
His father and his brother.
Two geniuses.
Yes. And they were all drinking.
Two geniuses. Well, they can't live together, so at least they can drink together. I guess that's what family's all about. Go ahead.
And my sister had told his dad to keep him away from her house. And his dad didn't really understand what was happening because Lyndon didn't let him know about the night with the cell phone. So he didn't understand why my sister was...
I think if there wasn't a cell phone, his father wouldn't have understood. Go ahead.
So after that, my sister had told him she was going to call the cops and get a restraining order on him. And at that time, Lyndon was mad because his dad had told me, well, then I don't want her calling him or at my house. And I had said, I haven't called your son and I haven't been to your house. And at that time, Lyndon had got mad and they were drinking. So he kind of like pushed my sister. And at that time, when he got angry, my sister ran to the house to call the cops. And at that time, I had ran back to the house too because he was still mad. And he followed me to the garage door on the side of the house. And when I closed the door and locked it, I could feel him trying to open it. He just went to the front of the garage where my car was parked, and I heard a loud noise. And at that time, I had lifted the garage door up because my sister had came out, and we seen him leave the side of my car and get into his dad's car, and the two trash cans were against my car, laying against my car.
You have pictures of
Yes,
the car?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Outrageous. When did you purchase this car?
Last year in November.
Bought it yourself?
My mom helped me.
Who pays for it?
I do.
Paid the insurance too?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up next to him. You came here, you might as well stand up here.
Monica Vasquez says ex-boyfriend Lyndon Trujillo owes for vandalizing her car and for destroying her cell phone.
What were you doing out with your son at 1:30 in the morning?
We had went to the club.
What club?
El Presidente.
What were you doing at the club?
Dancing.
And drinking?
I was, yes.
With whom?
Females.
All different kinds?
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you were dancing and drinking with a whole bunch of females, you weren't watching what your two sons were doing?
Actually, he was on his cell phone the whole time we were there, text messaging and back and forth. And I went to him and asked him, who you texting? And he said, Monica. So
And that's what he said to you?
Yeah.
That's what he said to you, but you don't know that that's true.
No, but if I may, Your Honor?
Yeah.
The day before the cell phone incident had occurred,
Yeah.
she came to my house, and my dad was coming up from work, and she was coming downstairs. I was walking her down to her car.
And?
And that's why I don't understand really how it could go from her being upstairs in my house and me and her being together in a relationship or working things out, and then to...
Well, were you working things out, or were you in a relationship, sir?
No, we're working things out to be in a relationship.
So what did you go there at 1:30 in the morning for?
Because we had been texting each other. We had been texting and talking to each other, and...
Did she invite you there?
Yeah, I had her on speakerphone because I was the designated driver.
Yeah, she had told him.
Yeah, she was in the car. She knew that the speakerphone wasn't on.
That her sister was asleep, the kids were gone, for him to go over there and visit to see her.
And what were you going to do?
I just sat in the car because I was drinking.
You, and what about him?
He was in the back seat.
So the two of you were just going to sit there in the back seat of the car,
Well,
in the
actually,
front seat
yeah.
of the car, while he went inside to visit with his girlfriend?
They didn't go inside. They stayed outside in the driveway.
Fine. So he goes over to see Monica, and how did her car get dented?
When we got there, Monica had stepped outside. She was walking towards her car. We pulled up, and she went like this, like waved us over there. We all three got out of the car, walked over. She showed us a dent on her car and said that she had got into an accident with a motorcyclist. And me and her made a few comments back and forth because I had just recently wrecked my Harley. And I had told her, you know, so anyways, we said a few statements back and forth. And then me and Fabian went back and got back in the car. They stayed there talking, hugging, kissing until Marie came outside. And Monica flipped the whole script when Marie came outside because she was upset.
Were you at his house the day before?
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
When you send a text message, could you save those things?
They stay for 14 days.
Huh?
You can lock them.
Save them, right?
Yes, you can.
Show me.
Your Honor, I don't have my phone with me. I don't have any proof right now, Your Honor, so it's...
Why don't you, sir?
Because I came unprepared. I came on intentions of knowing that what I know is true.
Is everything that you said just now as truthful as you went over to the store the end of June, invited by her to come over to the store?
What, to her store, Rite Aid?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to Rite Aid.
Oh, no.
No, I said I went to Taco Bell. I drove to Taco Bell. She was at Rite Aid when we had talked on her.
Why would you think, Mr. Trujillo, that she would say to her boss, concerned, I just want to get out of here before he comes over, and the boss distinctly remembers all the employees watching her get into the car to make sure she was safe and leave?
But I wasn't in her parking lot, though.
I don't care whether you were in a parking lot or not, sir. Why do you think the boss would remember that?
Oh, yeah, no, boss, no. I'm not saying that. She got in her car, but I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you, though, is that I did not go into her parking lot.
No, what you said, Mr. Trujillo, was that you had an appointment to meet in Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And that, sir, is a lie. That, sir, is a lie.
That we met in Taco Bell?
It is a lie that you had an appointment to meet at Taco Bell. Because when she heard from you, she asked her boss if she could take off because she was concerned about her safety. They all watched her leave.
Then why would she have pulled into Taco Bell if she knew that she could have got away from me?
I don't know what you were doing, sir. And I don't know what your drunken father was doing or your drunken brother was doing on the night this happened with the car. I have no clue. All I know is, sir, you lied to me once, and you also don't know the law in the jurisdiction where you live because you're required to have a license to tattoo. Sir.
Okay.
And what is your address?
My address right now?
Where you're doing the tattooing?
In a house. On
What is the address?
I don't know my address. I just know it's on Bradley Street. I've only been there like a month, 2 months, so I don't know the address. I don't get mail there.
Did you make more than 3 children or
Only
just 3?
Only 3.
Only 3. So far you got 2 losers, right? 1,
I don't consider
2.
them losers, but...
Well, so far they haven't done anything to make you proud.
Sure they have.
I don't see
They
it.
graduated high school. That made me proud.
My God. My God, that's like the 8th wonder of the world.
That's an accomplishment in this family.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
You got to do something with it once you graduate from high school.
Yes, I totally agree.
So pleased that you agree with me.
am.
I've been looking forward all year for a person of your stature to agree with me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. That's all. Goodbye. Work out. And it is your claim that after you broke up, Mr. MacArthur took some of your property, vandalized some of your property, and then posted some very negative things about you on the internet, which you view as slanderous, and you want to be compensated for that. Mr. MacArthur says the only thing that he took back was the engagement ring. As far as destroying your property, he did not do that. And as far as placing items on the internet, he says he never mentioned you by name on any website. How long were you engaged, Mr. MacArthur?
We were engaged for about 2 years.
Did she break up with you, or did you break up with her?
She wanted to take time apart, and I told her I did not want that.
Okay, so she wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably a good idea that you didn't get married.
Yeah.
If somebody's not sure, it's better off to figure it out now than later, right?
Yes, Ron.
All right, Miss Smith, what items do you claim that Mr. MacArthur stole from you?
He has several of my CDs. He took my engagement ring. I was later informed that that was thrown into a lake.
Well, the engagement ring he's entitled to take back.
It was a birthday present. It was given to me as a birthday present. It was given to me on my birthday as an engagement
your
ring.
engagement ring was given to you on your birthday.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, he's entitled to it back.
It was given as a birthday gift, though.
Listen to, watch me. He asked you to marry him and gave you a ring on your birthday. It was an engagement ring. Did you show it to people as an engagement ring?
Yes.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
It was.
Did you say to them, this is my engagement ring?
Yes.
You didn't say, this is my birthday present. You got my drift, Miss Smith.
Yes.
If you broke off the engagement, it means the marriage never took place. He's entitled to the ring back. And if he wants to throw it in the lake, he can throw it in the lake. And if he wants to throw it down a sewer, he can do that too. Okay? See how fair I am?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have any of her CDs, Mr. MacArthur?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
I'm not getting myself totally exercised over the CDs. People who were engaged for 2 years, if all they're fighting about is CDs, that means they're not very mature.
I also have CDs that he returned to me that were destroyed when I picked them up.
I'd like to see those.
This is only the ones that were returned to me. That's not the ones that he still has possession of. Some of those are expensive CDs. Some of the CDs that he still has are very expensive.
I don't know what you mean they're destroyed. I have no idea what that means.
If you look at all of them, each of them has a gouge going from the center to the outside. They're completely destroyed. There's absolutely no way of
Well, this one. Yeah, this one is too.
those.
How did that happen, Mr. MacArthur?
I don't know, Your Honor. Her CDs sat in my trunk. I use my car for work, so I have tools coming in and out of my car every day. I don't
Your
pay
Honor,
attention.
my CDs were in a CD case.
Yeah, Mr. MacArthur. That looks like somebody purposely did that.
And it's identical.
Shh. You know how fair I am. This looks like somebody purposely did that. Well, doesn't that look to you as if somebody did that with something?
Yeah, by all means.
You know what I mean, Mr. MacArthur?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I don't think she would do that to her own CDs, because that would be stupid, especially since she broke up with you. But it would seem to me that you were pretty angry. So I have to put 1 and 1 together. That makes you. All right. So now you have these destroyed CDs, which I am placing squarely at the foot of him.
That doesn't include the ones that he still has.
I just answered your question about that 2 minutes ago. What part of I don't care don't you understand? There's no excuse for him vandalizing your property.
What's the excuse for him posting vulgar, slanderous stuff on the
Well,
internet?
that I want to see. There's no excuse for it. There's a reason that he might have done it, but that doesn't mean that there's an excuse.
He says that he never did it, although he called my house and he called my mother at her work.
Don't tell me what he told your mother unless your mother is here. Is this what you're telling me, Jeanette?
Yes, it is. I was told to read that.
He doesn't mention your name here.
No, but it says to my ex, you know who you are, and I was told that
Don't tell me what you were
me
told.
to read it.
Listen to me. Don't tell me what you were told. That's hearsay.
And
listen to me. He says, as far as his ex is concerned, one day the sun will die and the night will crawl. Until then, until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. To my ex, you know who you are. Right?
I called him right after I read that, and I said, what is this about? He said, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said, you wrote that, yet you didn't mean to. How could that not hurt me?
Ms. Smith, you have to understand what slander is. Slander is something that you say that is not true about somebody in a way that they can be identified. For instance, if he said, my ex, Jennifer Smith, has the following diseases,
So everybody better stay away from her. And that's not true. Then you can sue him for slander. I'm speaking, you're not listening. That's slander. If he wrote you a letter, and in the letter said to you, I wish you had a slow, painful death, and I was there to watch. I wish you suffer and get a vile disease. And he wrote that to you in a letter. That's not slander. That's the way he feels. That's protected speech. If you wrote this, I assume you did. He's entitled to do that.
It is slanderous, though, because at the top of it, it says, I just left someone who did nothing but use me for my money, and when she was done, she went and found someone new to do the same to them. My current boyfriend was hesitant about even talking to me because of that, because he assumed that because he stated it, that...
Listen to me. Who showed your boyfriend this?
I did.
Listen, I would like to... Listen to me. I want you to kiss the ground. You got the ring back, and that you're moving on with your life, because she's not wrapped too tight. You got it? Good. But you can't scratch her CDs, because that's childish. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
That you got to give her $150 for. The rest of your stuff is nonsense. What'd you do with the ring, by the way?
Threw it in a lake.
Attaboy.
Yes, it is.
Your first name is?
Nicole.
Who do you live with, Nicole?
I live on my own right now, Your Honor.
Where were you living when you were involved with Mr. Watson?
I was living at my grandmother's house, Your Honor.
How old are you?
I'm 24 years old, Your Honor.
What do you do for a living, Nicole?
I'm a hostess.
Hostess where?
At the Outback Steakhouse.
For how long?
I've been with that company, Your Honor, for 8 years.
So you have a responsible job?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have any children?
No, Your Honor.
Perfect. So you have no children, you have a responsible job.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ever had any trouble with drugs, alcohol?
No, Your Honor, I have not.
So far, is all that correct, Miss Fowler?
Absolutely, yes, Your Honor.
She only had one lapse.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Your Honor, yes. I have to say, otherwise my mom will kill me, that she loves you. Now we can go on.
Thank you.
Very much. More than you, actually. Grandma, she wishes that was her mom. She would have done better in life. Okay, anyway.
All right, Miss Fallick.
Yes.
This is what your lawsuit is about. Mr. Watson somehow wangled his way into your granddaughter's heart.
Yes.
And then he went off to jail.
Yes.
For what?
For violating a restraining order.
What kind of restraining order?
And no contact.
No contact with who?
With my daughter's mom.
And she got a restraining order because you were abusive?
No.
Because you were stalking her?
No.
Well, how did she get a restraining order?
She didn't want me to see my daughter.
How many times did you violate the restraining order?
Just once.
How badly did you violate it?
I went to the daycare and picked up my daughter.
So you had an order that said you weren't allowed to go near the child unsupervised as well?
Until I appeared in court, yes.
And you didn't like somebody telling you what to do?
Yes.
Got it. I'm just trying to develop the personality here. And Mr. Watson, was that the first time you were ever incarcerated? What word didn't you understand, Mr. Watson? Was that the first time you were ever incarcerated?
No, it's not.
What were you incarcerated for previously, sir?
For assault.
Assaulting who?
Someone I don't know.
A stranger?
Yep.
Where did you assault this stranger?
At a bar.
All right. Now, did the mother of your child allege, I didn't say you did it, but did the mother of your child allege that you also assaulted her?
No.
That you threatened her?
No.
She just said, I want a restraining order, and didn't allege anything.
Yes. No.
Well, we sort of, you know, in the family court where I used to work, we used to give out those restraining orders where there was no proof, nobody asked for anything. We'd have every other Monday. We just said, anybody wants a restraining order, you come on in, you don't have to say anything. We just give them out. Now, how long were you incarcerated for, sir?
For 2 years.
You were incarcerated for 2 years for violating a restraining order?
Oh, well, the first time when I got arrested, for the restraining order, I was only in jail for 3 months.
2 years for an assault?
Yeah.
Must have been a pretty bad assault. And the second time you were in jail for 3 months. That must have been some violation. And while you were in jail, Miss Fallick says she did everything that she could to make it easier for you. You called her house 2-3 times a day, collect. And how much was your phone bill?
A total of $563.
Is that for the 3 months?
It was 3.5 months.
3.5 months. And then she gave her granddaughter money so that she could put the money in your bank account because you didn't like the prison food.
Yes.
Tell me what he said to you.
His exact words were, I'm losing weight. I cannot eat the prison food. I need to buy food in the wherever. I don't know anything about prison.
Commissary.
And also, he said he needed toiletries, and he played on my sympathies. I really felt sorry for him. And he asked for $20 a week, which I gave him all the time he was in jail. And he said to me, I have $4,000 in the bank. When I come out, I will pay you. And I hear his words in my ears, I will pay you back. Also, one other thing I did. The night he was arrested, he called my house. He asked if we could please pick up his keys at the jail and bring his car, because he was afraid it would be vandalized, and bring his car to my development and put it in my parking spot, which I did until he came out.
How much did that cost you each month?
I broke it down. It was $45 a month, but December, he came out around December 18th. I just did half, and that came out to $157.50.
And the $20 a week, how much was that, Miss Fallick?
$260.
You used to go to visit him?
Yes, Your Honor. I went a few times to visit him. That's when I would go to leave the money on the books, Your Honor. I would do that all on the same day, Your Honor.
Well, what happened when he got out of jail?
He got out of jail, Your Honor, and he did make an attempt. He paid my grandma $31. He said that was his tips that he made for moving, Your Honor. And then after that, Your Honor, he said that we're not getting the rest of our money and to take him to court.
Why is that, Mr. Watson?
I never agreed to paying Ms. Fallick back or Nicole back any money. I never asked any of them for the money that they was giving me. Nicole offered to help me out. Nicole said that don't worry about any of the costs, it's inexpensive. I don't owe them anything. She was being nice out of kindness of her heart. I never asked them for anything.
Who's kind hearts?
Out of hers and her grandma's, I guess. I never asked them for anything, not one dime.
Did you have to, sir, give permission to have the jail authorities turn over your car keys to Nicole and or her grandmother? Or do you think that the jail turned over your car keys to anybody who said, I came for his car keys? Do you know what I'm talking to you about? Do you know what I'm saying to you? You will not think faster than I, Mr. Watson. You are not that smart. When you were incarcerated, they came and picked up your car keys. Now, do you think that the prison authorities just turn over your car keys to anybody who walks in and says, I want Watson's car keys?
No.
So you had to have given permission for one or both of them to come and get your car keys. Is that right?
I didn't just turn over my car
just a second.
keys.
Just answer my question.
Yes.
Now, what were they supposed to do with your car?
Nicole was, my mother was picking up my car.
They would not have turned over your car keys to these two ladies if your mother was supposed to come and pick up your car, because I got news looks like them.
Okay.
You get me?
I get you.
I don't like liars, Mr. Watson. I don't like criminals, I don't like liars, and when there's a combination, it's deadly. Miss Fallick is not telling me any sort of a lie when she said that she spoke to you and you said you don't like the prison food, you're losing weight. Now, she may have been operating out of the goodness of her heart. I think she was.
So why would I
think she was.
For toilet paper? They give you toilet paper in there. She just said that I said I didn't have any toilet paper? They
No, not toilet paper. Not toilet
What did she
paper.
say when she said it?
I'm going to tell you what she said, sir.
Okay.
You know, you got to go to a little advanced education. There's a difference between toilet paper and toiletries.
Okay.
Mr. Smarty Pants.
Okay.
You know the difference?
I know now. You just told me.
Well, what are toiletries? Did you make an error in judgment, Nicole?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't repeat it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $980, that's all. Who was the basketball player? What's your first name?
Keith.
And yours?
Michael.
Your arm got broken in school.
Yes, ma'am.
Your arm got broken when he bumped into you.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I was trying to get into the game, and pretty much...
When did this happen?
March 17th of 04.
You were trying to get into what game?
In PE that day, it was pretty much a free day.
and I was trying to get into the game, and they were pretty much just shoving me off.
Who was?
All the players. So I would steal the ball and run away with it, trying to be funny, and all the players would chase me.
So what I'm hearing is neither team wanted you to play that day, so you decided to play class clown and steal the ball and interrupt their game.
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened next?
Well, all the players pretty much chased me down and eventually got it from me, and while I was standing in the crowd, he gestured for the other players to clear a path to me, and when he did, he tossed the ball at me, and whenever I saw it was coming at me, I just tensed up and turned, and it hit me in my left hip.
Didn't hurt you?
No, ma'am.
And then what happened?
I just sort of walked up to him. Behind him was a gym mat, pretty thick and soft, so I wrapped my arms around him and purposely fell onto the gym mat. Everybody was laughing, and he did the same thing to me. And
you wrestled him, then he wrestled you to the ground, to the mat.
It was not an act of anger.
Okay. So you weren't angry with him?
No, ma'am.
And you don't think he was angry with you?
No, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened next?
Well, there was a rolled-up gym mat close to the compacted bleachers to the wall, and I got in between that, and just for the thrill of not being seen, and about 10 or 15 minutes.
I don't understand what that means. Just for the thrill of not being seen.
Just a childly...
No, well, what were you doing?
Nothing.
You mean you were hiding?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were you hiding from?
Nobody.
Keith.
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I'm getting a whole good story. I love this story so far. He wasn't angry with you, you weren't angry with him, but now you're hiding someplace and you're not hiding from anybody.
Well,
that doesn't sound like you could...
Well, I mean, me and my friend Anthony were both doing it, and he was behind another one to the right of me, and about...
What were you doing?
Just hiding.
Just hiding?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And, well, I tried to get out, and I pulled... It was kind of tight in there, so I was trying to wheeze my way out, and I pulled my my left arm across my chest, and about that time I just felt the mat be shoved into me.
The mat being shoved into you by?
By Michael.
And that's how you broke your arm?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Michael, what happened?
I rammed the mat. I wasn't intentionally trying to break his arm. I was just horseplaying with him, like we were earlier. And
so you were horseplaying?
Yeah.
You knew he was there?
Yes, ma'am.
You knew he was there?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, Ms. Peters, your defense to this says, let me read it so that I make sure I get your language clear. I told her that with children, and particularly with boys, these things happen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Explain that to me.
The reason I said that boys will be boys and that it wasn't my responsibility to pay for the bills was because it was an accident. He didn't mean to do it.
It wasn't an accident, Ms. Peters. That's your problem, you see. If your son was playing a game and during the course of the game he ran into this structure, not intending to come into contact with Keith at all, but it was during the course of a game and he was at a place where he could get hurt, that's an accident. But that's not what your son told me. Your son told me he saw him there and he was just fooling around with him and rammed him. Unfortunately, when he rammed him, his arm was in such a position that it broke. Okay. So his action, not in breaking his arm, I don't think he intended to break his arm, of course not. But he intended to hit him. And for that, he is responsible. Just as if his leg, when he tackled him to the mat, horseplay. But when young people are involved in horseplay, and if you had broken his leg, who would have been responsible?
I would have.
You're right. What were your medical expenses?
Before or after insurance?
After insurance.
After insurance, the total was $706.07.
I'm not saying that your son bears any responsibility with regard to this incident, but I believe he has to know that when 10 people are playing basketball, you're not supposed to act like a jerk, right?
Yes, ma'am. We've already established that.
Good. You know, Michael, sometimes when you do the wrong thing, things happen. There are consequences, even those that you don't anticipate. You got to start being a two-process thinker and say, listen, if I do this, this could happen. It's not worth it. Being a fool is not worth it. Being a fool isn't worth it. How long was your arm in a cast?
6 weeks.
And this happened in March, so it was during school.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't even get to relax. When did you get the cast off?
I'm not sure.
End of April.
So you got a chance to enjoy the summer.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You still friends?
I think so.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Judgment for the plaintiff in that $706. And it is your claim that sometime in 2005, she filed false assault charges against you, which caused you to retain an attorney, lose wages, suffer. You want her to compensate you.
Correct.
Ms. Bach says she told the truth when she filed for this protective order. As a matter of fact, the protective order was granted to her for a year. She is counterclaiming because she says you're the one who continues to harass her, and she's going to tell me why. How old is your child?
She just turned 2 in January.
And when did this incident happen that formed the basis of the order of protection?
November 10th, 2005.
How long had you been separated at that point?
Almost 2.5 months.
Where did the incident occur?
In my house.
What time?
It was around 7 in the morning.
What were you doing at his house at 7 in the morning?
It wasn't 7. It was about 5:30. We had been out that evening, and he invited me back to his house, so we were at his house.
You had been out together in the evening?
Yes.
Is that right?
We met up later in the evening, yes.
Where?
At a bar.
Okay. So what happened at 5:30?
She had come back. We had been involved in a relationship for, a year and a half, and we had been intimate that night, and I had to go to work then that morning. I was tired. I needed to get some sleep, so I asked her to leave. She did not want to leave. She basically wasn't satisfied and wanted me to continue. I told her I had to get some sleep. I asked her to leave. So that is when she left. When she left, she walked into the garage, knocked over a set of poker chips. I heard a loud noise, so I followed her. And at that time, she was walking out of the garage. I was tired. I wanted to get to sleep. I wanted to make sure she left. So I approached her. I wanted to put my hand on her. And as I did that, she turned into me. When that happened, she fell over. Immediately, I apologized, and I asked to help her up. After I helped her up, I gave her a hug and apologized, and then I went inside, and she got in her car.
All right, that's the basis for your application for a protective order, that incident?
Yes, but that's not how it happened.
Now, you tell me your version of the incident.
Okay, we did get into an argument. I was leaving. I did knock off the poker chips off the table. I continued to keep walking. I never stopped at all. All of a sudden, he comes behind me, pushes me, and I fall from the garage onto the driveway. I fell on my complete left side. I was crying. He did not offer to help me up, did not apologize. I got up, I was crying, I asked him to apologize, and I left. I went home, I didn't tell anybody what happened. A couple days later, family members found out and told me to go file. So I went and filed charges on him.
Okay, so you filed for a protective order based upon this incident. And what happened when you went to court, Mr. Krollman?
Well, actually, I was going out of town the following weekend, and she had driven by and found out that I was home. So she called the cops, and they came and picked me up. I spent the night in downtown.
Okay.
So I got a lawyer the next day. And when we went to court, the charges ended up being dismissed.
You say that there was a protective order issued for 1 year.
Correct. We went to court in December for a CPO, civil protection order. It's a permanent restraining order against the temporary restraining order, per se.
Right. Well,
so
what happened with that?
That was granted December 19th of 2005.
Can I see it, please?
Yes. I'm sorry, it's December 21st.
So in Ohio, you can have a civil protective order as opposed to a criminal proceeding pending.
Correct.
Okay. Well, Mr. Krollman, you have already had a civil hearing on this matter, sir. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And the court in that hearing on December 19th, 2005, made findings. And one of the findings that the court made was that your actions caused her to be injured on November 10th, right?
Right.
Then you can't sue her, sir. I mean, if that's the incident that you're suing her over, you can't sue her.
They just basically said that there was no evidence supporting the facts that I caused those injuries. I have a couple of things, if I may.
Just a second,
Sure.
though. The court says, inasmuch as petitioner's testimony about hitting the driveway because of the respondent's conduct is in part corroborated by the respondent, that's you, the court finds that the petitioner is a credible witness on that topic. So the court credited her version of the events. I don't sit as an appellate court. For that court, the same burden of proof exists in the two courts. There's already been a finding in that court with regard to your conduct, sir. With regard to that, the matter is what we call in legalese res judicata. I don't go back and look at facts again. They dismissed the case and sealed it criminally. Civilly, they found you liable, and they issued a civil protective order for a year. I'm prepared to hear what you have to say. If it's relevant, sir, I just told you what the law is. That's the law. We're not going to make new law here.
Okay.
You got it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Basically, the whole reason that I believe all of this came out is in October, a month prior, I had filed for custody.
Did you tell that to the judge?
Yes.
In this proceeding?
Yes.
So the judge heard you?
Following that, a month later, she filed for that motion.
No, that's not true, sir. You're missing something. You filed for custody in October. You got together November 10th. She fell outside on November 10th. That's intervening. Go.
That same week that the charges were filed, she also sent me an email stating that let's check to see if either of us have a criminal record. All of this in lieu of her trying to build up a case for custody since she knew I'd filed for custody.
Well, listen to me. Mr. Krollman, look at me. Just for my own information. Why did you file for custody in October, sir?
Because she would not let me see my daughter unless it was just to talk about us. It was only, oh, I'll let you talk about us and then I'll let you see your daughter.
If that's true, terrible. Because she's got to understand this, a child is entitled to know both parents. She may not care for you anymore. That's not the child's problem. And sometimes women don't get that. They have to get it. Some judge has to tell them that those are the rules. However, sir, you filed for custody in October. You got together again in November. And I guarantee you that you said things in your application for custody that she didn't like, right?
Probably. I'm sure we both did.
And then she was trying to gather ammunition about you after you filed for custody, right?
Correct.
That's fair game, Mr. Krollman. So you have no case here because that's already been decided by another court. Now, you want to proceed with your counterclaim?
Yes.
I got 30 seconds to hear the nonsense.
Okay. Mr. Krollman is an alcoholic. He's obviously had disorderly conduct while intoxicated.
And how long have you known that?
Ever since I met him.
Well, that's your problem. That's your bad judgment, not only to hook up with somebody you say is an alcoholic, but to make a baby with them. But you did.
It's true.
And child is entitled to know both parents.
It's true.
Good. Now, let's go.
He had supervised visitation during this custody proceeding, and now he's not allowed in the bar as part of our agreement when he has her for visitation.
Fine. But he has her for visitation.
Correct.
Good. Which means that the court found that he was a reasonable enough guy to have unsupervised visits.
Correct.
Right? Despite what you said.
Correct.
So the court found that you were not a credible witness. Because
No.
when you had a trial on the issue of custody and visitation, did you have hearings with regard to custody and visitation?
Yes.
And were you opposed to him having unsupervised visits?
Yes.
The court did not believe you as to the reasons why, because the court ultimately granted him unsupervised visits.
We settled.
You only settled because your lawyer said he's going to get unsupervised visits. Listen, I was in the business 25 years. I know the game. If you thought you were winning, you wouldn't have settled. That's not the way women play the game. What else?
He harasses me. I had the restraining order, and this is a stack of emails he has sent me through then. I've caught him following me to the doctor's office where I take my daughter. He continues to sue me regardless of what's happening. I have 4 pending court cases outside of this court.
What are the 4 pending court cases?
He sued me for money when we were together. His mother's suing me for money.
Did his mother give you money?
Yeah, she paid a couple car payments for me.
So his mother gave you money?
Yes.
She's entitled to sue you for money. What other case?
We had a court case Monday, and he failed to show up. He was trying to get me in contempt of child support. He failed to show up. The judge dismissed
What do you
him.
mean he was trying to get you in contempt for child support? I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
We share medical bills, basically, so she hasn't paid me half the medical bills, so I took it to court.
Have you paid the medical bills you're supposed to?
Yes.
You have?
Yes.
Oh, well, then I assumed that the case would be dismissed, and probably with prejudice.
He wanted medical payments up until the time she was born. So since we were together up until she was 9 months old, the judge didn't see that was appropriate.
Keep going. What are the other lawsuits? You said 4.
Right. So we had the court case on Monday, the 2 lawsuits that his mother and him have against me, and then we have another one objecting an administrative hearing where I get to claim her on tax exemptions every year.
Okay. How much do you pay for child support?
I was paying $204 every 2 weeks.
And who do you live with?
I live by myself with my daughter.
And you work?
Yes.
Who pays for daycare?
I do.
Solely?
Yes.
What does it cost you for daycare?
$380 a month.
Well, Mr. Krollman, if I were judge hearing the case and you were paying $100 a week support and she's paying for daycare, I wouldn't let you claim the child as a tax deduction either. I'm just telling you, that's gratuitous advice. If she's paying $380 for child care a month and she lives by herself with her child and half of all of the expenses are attributed to the child, then your $100 a week doesn't cut it for 50% of support. So I would just gratuitously give up on that one. Listen, The fact that you don't like each other anymore is unfortunate. If you liked each other, you'd still be together. You did a very dumb thing in making a child together. You picked the guy who you say is an alcoholic. Not too swift, but he's yours, and he's your daughter's, and he's entitled to see her, and she's the mother of your child, and she's with her a lot, Mr. Krallman. And if you were a nice guy, you wouldn't want to stress out the person whose primary responsibility it is to take care of your child. Do you understand that?
Yes.
If you do that, it's just vindictive, not smart, and certainly not in your daughter's best interest. I'm just telling you, just not smart. It's petty and stupid. The fact that she filed for this protective order, nonsense. It was nonsense. I know what happened. She went like this. She didn't accidentally dump the poker chips. She went like that. She was angry. She knows it. I know it. She knows that I know it. That doesn't give you license to push her, which you did. Does it require a protective order? Were there other acts of violence in your relationship? I don't know the answer to that question. It's over. Put a period. Move on positively. You have to live together for the next 16 years. They can either be happy 16 years or miserable 16 years. Your child is 2, right? Right. It's up to you. You're both young people. You have a chance to move on and be happy.
Can I add something, Your Honor?
Yes.
Because of things that have happened in the past, that was the first time that I've filed anything. I've called the cops several times. He's taken my daughter. I've had to call the cops to get her back from his mother. He's thrown things at me, broke a mirror, shoved me in the closet. I had to call the cops when we went on vacation.
Was this all before November of 2005?
Yes, it was.
And yet you went to bed with him in November of 2005. You met him up at a bar. Nobody grabbed you and brought you back to the house, right? True. Okay. You don't get points for genius.
True.
Goodbye. True. Cases are
excused.
dismissed. Your complaint, he still owes you several $1,000s for his bar tab. The defendant says that he paid you $900. I believe that's what you...
He charged it, but we're disputing it.
Did you pay him $900?
He charged it without our consent, but we're disputing it, ma'am.
You owe him money.
No.
Yeah, sure you do. Hey, did you go there?
Yes.
How many people went there in your party?
About 30.
So you expect to go there and drink for nothing?
No, but I expect...
Okay. So then you owe him some money.
No.
Mr. Nash,
Yes.
let me explain something to you, sir. And there is going to be a judgment in favor of the plaintiff for a certain amount of money. I don't know how I'm going to be able to reconstruct exactly what you owe him, but you had a bachelor party there, you drank his liquor, you used his establishment, and you are going to pay him. You do understand that?
Not all 30 people drink, though.
Mr. Nash, I'm going to tell you something, sir.
Yes, sir.
At my age, I know enough about bachelor parties that everybody had something to drink. Everybody.
Maybe some water.
Well, he's entitled to be paid for water that somebody drinks at his club.
Okay.
Now, you had 30 people at this bachelor party. What were the financial arrangements, Mr. Garl, with regard to the per-person charge, exclusive of alcohol?
The party was set up for January 13th with Christina and Tim.
Christina, stand up.
Christina is my event coordinator for...
Okay, event coordinator Christina, who has a last name which is?
Perez.
How much were you charging per person to come into the club?
$10.
So that's $300 if he had 30 people.
Correct.
Now, did you ask for a guest list?
Yes, I did.
When did you ask for a guest list?
At the time that we arranged the party.
And what did Mr. Nash say?
That he wouldn't be providing a guest list because he wasn't sure how many guests he would be bringing to the club on January 13th at the bachelor party.
Well, how did you expect Mr. Nash to figure out how many people were going to be charged for the $10 entrance fee?
We did a head count on the way in.
And how many were there?
30.
You have a list of those 30?
I don't know.
How many were there?
Over 40.
There was more like 55.
That's because they're letting people in on their own. So.
Just a second.
At 40, we quit counting.
If he acknowledges 30, there were at least 40. Okay.
Wow.
Shh. You may not lose this whole thing, Mr. Nash, but don't start on the wrong side with me, sir.
Okay.
When you use somebody's business, you have to be prepared to pay for it.
It should also protect you as well. I mean, they should let people in with knives.
Mr. Nash?
Go ahead.
If you choose to have a bachelor party with 40 people, sometimes things get out of hand. Was this the only place you were going that evening?
Yes.
And you started out there?
Yes.
What time?
About 10:30, 11.
What time did they get to your place?
11:30.
What time did they leave?
Their party started a ruckus about, it was about 1:40.
And what was the financial arrangement with regard to the booze?
They wanted to be VIPs, come in, and they were going to take care of everything at the end of the night.
Do you have a contract with them?
Yes, we do.
I'd like to see it, please. What do you do for a living, Mr. Nash?
I own a car audio business.
So you're a businessman.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign this?
Yes.
Good. Did you present him with a bill?
Yes, we did. The next morning,
What was the bill?
the bill was $2,297.
Okay. So, Mr. Nash, you are a businessman. You signed this contract. The contract says, no guest list, walk in. Christina will take a head count and give it to Audie. Who's Audie?
Audie is the bar manager.
You said the price per bottle is $100 and up, depending upon selection. Private cocktail waitress was $100. You said number of guests 20 to 30, but you agreed that she would do the head count at the door.
We both came up at the same number at the club.
No, what I'm
I was
telling
with her when she was doing the head count.
And what was the number you came up with?
30. And she was letting people in, and I tell her that these people aren't with us. I actually had to bring the people back and have them pay them cash. And she still counted them afterwards, after the couple days that went by.
You could have modified this contract and said, Christina, and what's your first name?
Tim.
Tim will do a head count at the door. That's not what you said. You said Christina, that's her, will do a head count at the door. You said you were going to pay the bar tab.
Okay.
So?
But did you see the rest of it that says that it'll have a mid-VIP section blocked off as well?
The entire mid-VIP section?
That's what brought the bar tab up to some outrageous amount that he's asking for.
Well, tell me why, sir.
Because they're supposed to be sectioned off as per the contract. People are coming in and out as they please, drinking our drinks, ordering on our tab, bottles that we don't even drink, alcohol that we don't even drink. So it's coming to our table that we're ended up getting asked to pay. So that's not our thing. He should have had it blocked off and should have checked people walking in and out.
Well, when you say blocked off, how is it separated? How were your
It's a
30 to
midsection.
40 people separated?
Because it's a separate section from the rest of the club.
Okay.
It's supposed to be sectioned off on the sides, which it wasn't.
Well, what did you expect them to do?
Maybe stand somebody there at the door, maybe chain it off. Just as it says, blocked off, it's not blocked off.
How did you block it off?
They were offered private security at $100 per person, and they refused. Being that it was a bachelor party, I ended up putting a security person on either end, which they tipped $100 to each security person to go out to the dance floor and bring girls to their private party.
Oh, were you there? Did you see that?
Yes, I was.
Just a second.
I'm in that club every weekend, and I was standing right there.
That's cute.
And Tim actually complained to me about one of the girls dancing with one of my security guys at the entrance of their blocked-off area.
Did you actually observe women from the dance floor being escorted to the midsection VIP area?
Al, which I think is Tim's cousin, was actually asked to get back in the bar from my security because he was out front bringing people in from the outside, from the line, inside, which we didn't charge. I mean, after 40 people, we stopped charging them, but it got ridiculous that they were inviting so many people in from the outside. And
Men or women?
women.
Who's Al?
He's my cousin.
Al the procurer?
No. Al Nesh.
You see?
I
Good.
just like you, that's
I'm
all.
interesting, right? I'm interesting.
You are.
When you say there were 30 to 40 guests, Mr. Nash, listen to me very carefully, sir.
I'm
The
listening.
30 to 40 guests that were yours, were they all guys?
No.
How many women?
Maybe 6, 7 girls.
Ooh, yeah, right. You want to know something, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
I never remember. I have sons, I have son-in-laws. They never invite women to their bachelor party.
But can I give you...
They end up there,
Hey.
but they don't come as invited guests. Al, the procurer, may have gone outside and
No.
brought some women in to dance. Stop laughing. Not helping him. He's going to be angry after you leave that you heard his case. Do you
I'm
understand?
just smiling.
Do you understand?
Can I ask
Okay.
you something?
No, you can't ask me anything, sir, because you know why?
Why?
I have spent a lifetime in this profession so that I don't have to answer your questions. You have to answer my questions. I don't answer your questions.
That's not fair, though. I thought a
Yeah,
judge was
you
supposed
want
to be
fair?
fair.
You want fair?
I was just wondering
You
if
want
judge was
fair?
supposed to be fair.
In Washington, D.C., in the Supreme Court, you get fair. Here you get me. Now, Mr. Nash, listen to me very carefully, sir. If you said to me, listen, there were other people that were left in the VIP section that were not part of our party and they got some drinks, and you were reasonable with the club.
Oh, I
And
was.
reasonable with the club and said, listen, let's come up with a figure that I can live with. We had 40 people there that came in, and maybe we brought in another 10, 15 women because we were all dancing, and the women were also drinking. So maybe in total we were 50 people. Times 10 is $500. Now let's say each one of them drank $20 worth. That's an easy, right? You can drink $20 worth in 2 hours. You drank the water.
I drank cranberry juice.
You drank, well, cranberry juice, very good for you. Very good for you, also expensive. At a club, sometimes you can pay the same thing for a cranberry juice as you can for a beer.
Especially at this club where they rip you off.
Then you shouldn't have gone there. That's not his problem. Find someplace else to go. But I would say that minimally, at a bachelor party that arrives at 11:30 and leaves 2 hours later, that everybody has 1 drink an hour at $10 a drink. That's $20 a person. $20 times 50 people, $1,000 plus $500 entrance fee. That's $1,500. Now, if you had said to him, listen, Mr. Garl, we didn't have a good time. Somebody came in, took a knife, we had to leave, whatever the problem was, I'm prepared to give you $1,500. However, they put a $900 tab on your bill, and you just told me that you're contesting that, that you don't owe them anything. That's unreasonable, Mr. Nash.
No, it's not.
How much did they offer you to resolve this?
They wanted to take $650 off of the bar tab because they said that they didn't drink tequila, they didn't like tequila.
What was the whole tab that you have?
The whole tab of theirs is $22.97.
And they just wanted, uncross your arms. No. And they just wanted to take off $600?
And $50.
So they wanted to give you $1,700. Yeah. And what did you say to them?
I said this wasn't Mexico, it's not negotiable.
What does Mexico have to do with it? Why are you so racist
Well,
about that?
I'm not racist about it.
What's wrong
but
with this guy?
I actually had a conversation about them putting a car stereo in a car and then somebody saying they would obviously either remove it, but this is a situation where we can't.
But if I put something in someone's car that didn't ask for it, right? Just like as you put drinks on my tab that I didn't ask for, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to apologize to the customer for doing that.
The problem is, sir, when you make a party, how many bachelor parties have you made?
Have I made? That was my first one.
Okay. Well, then maybe you need a little bit of an education. When you make any kind of a party, a function, and you have what they call an open bar, they're going to give you a bill at the end of the evening.
I'm familiar with that.
It's sort of understood that if you have an open bar, that you're going to have to trust the establishment or don't make the party. What?
Just want to say something, you're not going to get mad.
I don't guarantee you I'm not going to get mad.
All right.
I'm here because I get mad. What?
In an open bar and ordering when you're at the club, is I did the ordering myself, so I know what I ordered.
You didn't order for all these people, especially for the
All these
procurers.
people that we're hanging out with all the time.
No, listen to me.
But I know
listen
who
to
I'm
me.
hanging out
Cousin procurer went out and brought in girls
But that's
to
not
dance.
true. That's you just taking his word.
I am taking his word. You want to know why?
Tell
I'm
me.
taking his word, sir, because it's a bachelor party.
But it's not a
That's
bachelor.
what they do. You wanted to have a Tupperware party, you should have stayed home.
I know.
You owe $2,200. Pay the bill and don't make any more parties. You don't know how to do it. That's
24-year-old Thomas Matthews is suing his ex-fiancée, 29-year-old Janice Hadsall, for the return of the engagement ring. Janice claims she sold the ring to pay bills.
Mr. Matthews, according to your complaint, you and the defendant became engaged.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
bought her a ring. You were supposed to move into a new townhouse.
Yes.
So far, that's correct. Is that right?
No, Thomas and I had never gotten engaged.
According to your complaint, you bought her an engagement ring.
Yes.
And you wanted to move into a townhouse. In order to do that, you had to break your lease. And you paid the bills to do that, to break the lease.
Yes.
So that you could move into this new townhouse together.
Yes.
After you paid those bills, you found out that Miss Hadsall was sort of friendly with her ex-husband again. Are you now living in the townhouse, sir?
Yes.
And is living in the townhouse with the ex-husband, which was facilitated through your paying the bills to get her out of her old lease.
Correct.
That's
So
not
you
true.
want two things. You want the engagement ring back, and you want the bills that you paid.
Yes.
Let's talk about the ring first.
Okay.
You have it?
No, I don't.
Where is it?
Well, when Thomas and I was supposed to move in the townhome, he agreed to help me with the bills and the utilities and stuff like that. When he and I had split up or broken up, that I had to sell not only that ring, but some other items that I had for
I don't believe
my
you.
bills.
I think you're a liar. I think you just didn't bring it because you didn't want to give it to me. That's what I think. How much was the ring?
$2,069.56.
Describe it to me.
It was white gold. I believe it was a carat and a half.
You have the bill for it?
Yes.
Well, that's what Kay Jewelers calls it, an engagement ring. And Kay Jewelers doesn't lie. Talk and talk fast.
We had started dating. We moved into an apartment together. We didn't like the apartment that we had gotten. He and I had some problems. We decided that after we were going to move out of the apartment together, that we went ahead and split up, and he moved out immediately into his parents' home. We had talked about, before we moved into the townhome, possibly getting back together. The day after we got back together, he told me to meet him at the apartment, that he had a gift for me. When he showed up at my place, he gave me the ring. And I told him, you do understand that we just got back together, that we're not getting engaged? He said, that's fine. He had asked me, when do you think would be a good time to get engaged? And I told him, not even for a year from now.
You're
And
not
he
a
said that
nice
was
person.
fine.
You're not a nice person. You said it or not. Bottom line is, you're old enough to know what an engagement ring looks like. And if you accept it, and if later you go back to your ex-husband, you be a nice person, and you give him back his ring so he doesn't feel like a fool. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I make myself clear?
Yes.
Let me tell you about the bills. Sometimes in a relationship, you are either the dumper or the dumpee. You got dumped on. The second part of your claim is that you got dumped on because you paid the bills to get her out of a lease so that she could move into a place that she really liked. And she did move into a place she really liked, only not with you. That's something that's not nice, but it's not something that's actionable in a court.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
When you filed for divorce against ex-husband, were you the plaintiff or defendant?
The plaintiff.
And what did you allege in the action for divorce? Don't say You remember. What were the grounds for divorce?
He had an alcohol problem.
So he was abusive?
Not physically abusive, mentally abusive.
He was abusive, right?
Yes.
Because when you have an alcohol problem, you're not only abusive to you, you're abusive to your children, right?
Not technically.
Oh, not technically.
No.
No. How do you think I'm so smart? You think he doesn't have an alcohol problem now?
No.
You don't think that?
No, I don't.
And you brought him back into the lives of your children.
Yes, I did.
That makes you doubly stupid. But that's your prerogative. Meanwhile, you owe him $2,070 for the engagement ring since it's not here. That's all. Step out of yours. And you took out a loan for him, very high interest loan, because he was in need of money. You want him to pay you back. The defendant says that you gave him money. He told you not to take out such a high interest loan. You did it anyway. And he's got a counterclaim for some nonsense because you're angry at him for not paying back the loan, so he says you've been harassing him for the money and telling people that he's a deadbeat, right?
That's correct.
Well, you probably are. Truth is a perfect defense. Why did you take money from her?
I didn't take money from her, Your Honor. It was a...
Just a second. You did take money from her.
I did. She offered...
No, listen to me. You did take money from her. It is my judgment as to whether that is a loan or a gift. My question to you is, why did you take money from her?
We had been seeing each other, whatever was going on with her, in her relationship with her husband or whatever. We started talking again, and she had stayed over a couple nights. We were pretty close. We were getting along pretty good. I was telling her my situation about my roommate. He skipped out on me, left me kind of hanging. I was a little short on my rent and whatnot. She said she'd try and help me out. She came up with some money. Yeah, she handed it to me, and I took it. It was a gift. I didn't know that I was forced to pay back.
Just a second.
And everything was cool, and we started talking about our relationship and stuff and what we were going to do. Well,
tell me about that, sir.
What?
I'm confused because I read the papers, yours and hers. Tell me, when she stayed over at your house, did you stay in the same room?
Yes.
Did you stay in the same bed?
Yes.
Just a minute. I'm not paying Amy for anything. She gave me the money with the hopes of rekindling our romance, which has been over for years, according to you. Now, if it had been over for years, sir, Why did you share a bed with her?
Why
Could you
did
stand up straight, please?
Why did I share a bed with her?
Yeah, you said your romance has been over for years.
We were hanging out. We were seeing each other.
Hanging out is not sharing a bed.
Well, kissing and other things that go in that matter are. So, yeah, we shared a bed.
But you, listen.
Yeah,
but
we did.
Then you, listen to me.
Well.
Listen to me. Then you lied to me here when you wrote in this answer, she gave me money in the hopes of rekindling our romance, which had been over. So that's a lie.
Because.
Just a minute. That's a lie then, based upon what you just told me.
No.
That is absolutely.
Because when I told her I didn't want a relationship no more, she took off, didn't call me or nothing. She started telling a bunch of people that I was a deadbeat and all that.
You are a deadbeat.
Well, whatever. That's your opinion.
How old
your
are
opinion.
you? How old are you?
34.
34. If you're 34 and you can't afford to pay your rent and you borrow money or you take money.
Took it.
Take money.
Yeah.
I'll decide in a second whether you owe it to her. Take money from a woman who you say the relationship is over, and yet you share your bed with her, and according to you, talk about a relationship with her, and then take money from her. That makes you a deadbeat. And it makes you an amoral deadbeat. Because what you're doing is saying, listen, I need some money. She's going to give me some money. So I'll string her along. You know, I'll hug her and I'll kiss her and I'll sleep with her.
No.
And I'll sleep with her. We'll talk about our relationship.
I'm speaking.
I don't think so.
It
Hey,
takes two.
I'm speaking.
It takes two.
Did she take money from you?
No.
Your
Honor, if I may.
Just a second. Do I look like I need any help from you?
No,
Sit down.
No, ma'am, you don't.
Sit down. You kissed her. She kissed you.
Right.
You hugged her.
Yeah.
She hugged you.
Okay. What's the point?
You took money from her.
Yeah.
She took money from you.
No.
Right. How much money does he owe you, this idiot? How much?
With interest, he owes me $3,900.
Just a second. You don't get any points from me for being an idiot. Okay?
Okay.
And if you take out an interest-bearing loan, and the interest on the loan is 87%, you'd get zero sympathy from me. Now, how much money did you give him?
$2,500, Your Honor.
That's what he's going to give you back. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
But, Your Honor, I had to pay $1,100 interest.
You shouldn't have taken out a loan for him, madam. You gave him $2,500. This idiot had no concept that he was going to have to pay you back $3,900.
He knew it was a loan, Your Honor.
He knew it was a loan.
And he knew about the
and
interest.
He's going to pay you back.
He was supposed to go back to work and pay me back.
Listen to me. He was supposed to go back to work. He didn't go back.
He was working.
I was working.
He was working with me. She was calling and texting.
Oh, all he does is he works everybody he knows. That's all he does.
Question?
No.
Very good. He owes her $2,500. The rest of it is her own stupidity. Goodbye. Your husband passed away recently. They had a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
The child was primarily living with you and your husband at the time of his death. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time he was about 13?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is he now?
13.
13. This is your lawsuit. While he was living with you and your husband, you got braces for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he needed them.
Yes, ma'am.
And you took out a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
In order to do that. Your husband is no longer here. You want his mother to take over the responsibility of the rest of the loan.
Yes, ma'am.
And to that, his mother says she is not responsible for the loan because she never signed the loan papers.
Correct.
Okay. Can I see any paperwork that you have from the dentist?
Yes. This is the recommendation to get the minor braces due to he had a...
Just a second. Let me read. I can read it. So this was the referral that was done on May 21st, 2007.
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, was he in fact living with you? Or was
Yes,
he
full
was
custody.
living with you and your husband?
Yes.
Okay. How much was the total bill?
The total bill was $3,000 some odd dollars, Your Honor.
Yes.
If I could say something, please?
Yes.
About the recommendation and the dentist bills and all the records, I have never seen any of that.
Doesn't make any difference.
And about the...
You paid. I read your answer. You paid, according to you, what you thought you could pay, which was $800.
To keep the peace, Your
Just a
Honor.
second. I don't care whether it was to keep the peace or not. It has really nothing to do with the loan, Ms. White. It has nothing... Listen, I want you to listen to me very carefully. It has nothing to do with the loan. It has to do with your responsibility as a parent to give your child whatever necessaries your child needs.
Your Honor, I understand that completely.
No, you don't. I don't think you do at all.
Your Honor.
Just listen to me. Who are you?
I'm her husband.
It has nothing to do with you. Judge, listen to me. Has nothing to do with you. This is not your child.
Yes, it is.
Has nothing. No. It has nothing
He is
to do.
my child.
No.
He stays with me in my house.
I
That's
don't
my
care whether
child.
he
I've been
stays with
raising him
you.
since he was-
Listen to me. It has nothing to do with you because you have, at this point, no financial responsibility with regard to the child's dental care.
I do too. He's in my house. I'm married
Okay,
to
listen,
her.
this is not a discussion that you and I are having. We don't have discussions. I'm telling you what the law is. You have no financial responsibility for the child's braces. You don't. His mother and his father have a responsibility to ensure that the child gets whatever necessaries the child needs. Now, as far as the plaintiff is concerned, I'm telling you what the law is. This has nothing to do with her obligation under the loan. She is suing you because the child who required braces, because I must assume, and if you don't think that's true, you can sue the dentist for malpractice. The child that I must assume needed braces as a necessary, just like food, clothing, shelter, medical care, that's a necessary. Put him out, please.
I just had a question. Mama.
I don't answer your questions.
Medi-Cal pays for them. He is on medical.
You're not paying attention.
Sir. Yes.
You want to talk instead of listen. Just as your husband has no financial obligation to this child, absent a showing that the state is paying any money for the child, neither does the plaintiff. When she was his stepmother, she took on that responsibility because I assumed that the child's father couldn't get a loan in his name. She assumed that responsibility while she was married to your former boyfriend. She was the child's stepmother. She is no longer the child's stepmother. A situation that came very close to home because I understand that you don't think that she should have any visits with him.
No, that's not true.
In any event, you are responsible, Miss White, for necessaries for your child.
Yana, can I say something? I haven't
Yes,
been
now
able to
you can say
anything.
something.
Okay, Malik had Medi-Cal at the time. Now, when you have Medi-Cal, there's certain points that you have to, come up to with your mouth for them to say that they can have them. Well, Medi-Cal denied him because he didn't have enough points. So Medi-Cal said that, he didn't need them.
Let me ask you this question, ma'am. You think you're a good mother?
Yes, I'm a very good mother.
Well, then I want you to think about this. Because he didn't have bad enough teeth to qualify for free braces, do you think that that means that the child didn't benefit from having braces? That requires a yes or a no.
No, but I mean, could you let me talk a little
No,
bit?
I want you to. You think that these people put braces on your child because he didn't need them?
That's not what I'm saying, Your Honor.
Then I want you to tell me what you're saying. Do you think that his father and his stepmother obligated themselves financially because they paid for a substantial part of this loan
I wasn't
back?
involved
I'm speaking. Because they wanted to torture him?
No, Your Honor.
Do you think that they put on the braces because a private doctor said that your son could benefit from having braces?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, please let me say something, please. I'm begging you.
Go ahead.
The thing is that I wasn't involved in the process at all. When they told me about the loan and everything, they had already did everything.
Fine.
They didn't.
It has nothing
I
to
could
do
have
with
went
the
and got a
loan.
second
Excuse me, Your Honor.
opinion.
Can I Put your hand down. No.
I could have went and got a second opinion. We could have went somewhere else to try to get something that we both can afford. I have 3 other children. I wasn't involved in anything. It was all about a control issue. Oh, we're doing this. We're doing this. Here, you pay this. Involve me in something.
Listen
and
to
then she
me
wants
carefully.
me to pay all of it.
Listen to me carefully. She wouldn't have come here if the child's father was still alive.
No, she wouldn't.
Now, just listen to me. She wouldn't have come here if your child's father was still alive. If she came here, I would have said, listen, he's a parent, just like she is. You obligated yourself to pay for this. Child's father, he pays for it. But she has no responsibility to pay for the necessaries for your child.
She's been paying half all this time.
It has nothing to do with the loan. You're not understanding me. Your head is fixed in the loan. It has nothing to do with the loan.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it through to you. You don't understand. These braces are necessaries, just like you give your child breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
And as the parent that's left, you are responsible in the law for all the necessaries of this child. All of them. She's not responsible anymore for anything with regard to this child. You are responsible for everything, having nothing to do with the loan. The only reason she had the loan is because of her husband. You are responsible for your child's medical and dental care. and there's an outstanding balance now of $1,127. That's your responsibility. And if
All
your
of it?
husband, all of it, all of it.
So she doesn't assume responsibility in paying half of it?
It's not her. No, it's not her child. It's your child. It's your
So
child.
she can go out and get a car, and he totaled it, and here, you pay it because this is your child, without consulting me at all.
No, a car is not unnecessary. Put your hand down. A car is not unnecessary. If your child, however, needed an emergency appendectomy, and they took the child to the hospital, and there was a $20,000 medical bill, and the child's father died, you would be responsible for the entire $20,000 medical bill because you are his mother, and you are the only surviving parent. And whether they consulted you and you could have gotten the appendectomy cheaper or not, it doesn't make any difference. It's your responsibility. You are his mother, not hers. So it would have been his father's if he was alive, but he's gone. Wow. That's the law. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,127. Thank you, Your Honor. Loans, she hasn't paid you back. The daughter says, yes, it's true that you gave her some money. They were gifts. You do that to all your relatives, and you're singling her out for repayment of these gifts because she had a fight with your other daughter. Is that right, Miss Torres?
Yeah, that's right.
What did I just say?
I owe her money, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. They're gifts. To me, they're gifts. I heard what you just said.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Did you have anything to drink today?
No, I don't drink.
You use any drugs today?
No, I don't.
Well, then explain to me what your problem is, Miss Torres.
I don't have a problem.
Who is that?
My kid's father.
Do you live with him?
When I want to, I don't know, when I want him there, I guess.
Step up, sir. What's your name?
Anthony Torres.
How long have you been with Miss Torres?
About 20, 21 years, off and on.
Do you work?
Yeah.
Your wife suffer from a disability?
No.
Well, is there something wrong with her today? She seems to be out of sorts today.
Well, because I
Mr.
don't think
Torres.
she should be suing me, that's why.
Why did you agree to come here?
I don't know.
Did you discuss coming here with your wife, Mr. Torres?
Yeah.
Why did she come?
Because it's a lawsuit and she needs to come.
Juanita Nuno says her daughter, Carolyn Torres, owes for a loan for bail. Juanita says she posted her grandson's bond after he was arrested for burglary.
Now, if you've been with Mrs. Torres for 20-some-odd years, then you are the father of this young man who got himself into trouble last year?
Yes, I am.
And the first loan, according to you, Miss Nuno, was for bail for your grandson.
Yes, it was.
What was he arrested for?
A jack broke into a school.
So he was arrested for burglary?
Yeah.
Did you call your mother and ask her for bail?
Yeah.
What did
But
you say
he called
to her?
her first, though. He called and I called after.
Who called?
I think my son called first, and then my niece called me, and then I called her back.
And when you called your mother, what did you say to her?
Bail him out. I don't have the money.
And what did she say to you?
She said, what happened? I explained to her what happened. The jack broke into a school, so can you bail him out? She does everybody else, so I figured she'd do him.
Why didn't you bail him out?
Like I said, I don't have the money.
Well, how do you support yourself?
By his child support checks.
Well, you live together. Why does he send you child support
Well,
checks?
when I want to get, I'll call him. He doesn't really live with me.
Miss Nuno, you really expect her to pay you back?
Yes.
From what?
She applied for Social Security, and she was supposed
What was
to...
the nature of her disability?
She has arthritis in the spine. That's inherited. It comes down the line. All of us have it. So she applied for Social Security disability.
Yeah.
And they were going to grant it to her. All she needed to do was take a physical exam.
So you expected her to pay you back out of her disability from the government?
Well, not only from that, but from my son-in-law. And I believe him because he never lies.
Well, did he promise to pay you back?
He said he would pay me back. He would pay the bonds people, so that would be good enough.
Is that right, sir?
Yeah, that's right.
So why didn't you pay her?
I intend to, I just haven't had the chance to do it.
It's a year and a half ago, almost 2 years. When are you going to do it?
As soon as I can.
So after they didn't pay you the $1,600, 6 months later you gave her another $2,000. You want to tell me why?
Because I beat her daughter. That's why. That's exactly what happened. She lent me money to move out because I beat her daughter for stealing my child support check.
No, Judge Judy.
Yes, that's what happened.
I bailed Anthony out in November.
You got $1,600, Ms. Nuno. What's the $2,000 for?
For getting me out of her house. I was staying with her for 2 months.
Why were you staying there for 2 months?
Because my stupid son, we lost our house in Redlands, so I had to go move in with her because of what he did.
How many other children did you move in with?
5.
How old are your children?
15, 14, 10, and 3. And my son, Anthony, that's 18. He's 18.
You have a 3-year-old child?
Yes, I do.
How did you, with your terrible disability, have a 3-year-old child?
I guess. I don't know how. Well, how else am I going to have a kid?
Judge Judy, you wouldn't believe it. You will not believe this. I had her put in a convent in Mexico. I had tried to educate her day one, and you know...
That's what she went wrong when she sent me to Mexico. She never should have ever sent me to Mexico when I was 10 years old. Never.
Do you have anything you want to say to me, sir?
He didn't say nothing.
No.
I'm not speaking to
Well,
you.
he's not going to say anything.
I'm not...
He'll still won't say nothing, though.
I'm not speaking to you.
Well, I'm speaking to you. I'm telling you, he won't say nothing.
Listen to me very carefully, Miss Torres. You've already shamed yourself in front of a lot of people.
I don't care.
You have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old who can all understand everything that's going around them. I feel very sorry for them, and I guarantee you that if you live alone with your children now, I'm putting in a call to social services to go and monitor your home if these children are, in fact, living with you. Are they living with her? Are the children living with her?
Yeah.
Well, somebody's going to monitor it. You're not there, is that right?
Most of the time, no.
Listen, Ms. Nuno, there is no question in my mind that having spent 10 minutes with your daughter, you had no reasonable expectation that that $2,000 was going to get repaid to you. Maybe the bail money, because you say that you had confidence in your son-in-law, and he says that he agreed to pay you back and he just hasn't gotten around to it yet. Mr. Torres, you have to find something to do with your time other than make children, sir. You have enough children. You have 5 children. And based upon what I've heard, you're not doing too well. And neither are your children. So you have to find some other way of occupying your spare time, like getting a second job, so you can support everybody, so they can all live together and not scam the government anymore. Do you understand me, Mr. Torres? This is all one huge scam you've been living with her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600. That's all. Step out. It's just one of those.
I will pay attention.
Okay. Miss Goodall was Miss Elder's nanny.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to the complaint, Miss Elder, according to her, received a check from some relative. And the check, for some reason, was made out to Miss Goodall, because according to Miss Elder, this relative was old. And she asked Miss Goodall to cash the check. Miss Goodall deposited the check for $1,850 in her checking account, and then slowly, over the course of several days, withdrew the money and gave it to Miss Elder. It turns out that the check bounced. Now, Miss Elder got the cash and spent it.
Of course.
Miss Goodall got the shaft, because her bank wants their money.
Sure.
Miss Elder is outraged that Miss Goodall is suing her, and she's going to explain why. Go!
Your Honor, I didn't write those checks. They were not in my name. They were in her name. I spoke to my relative over the phone. I explained to him that we were having a nanny for my brother's wedding, and he offered to pay expenses and nanny expenses. And I said,
okay. Just a minute. You're adding that to your answer, by the way. That's not what you said in your answer. What you said in your answer was that a relative of your husband's agreed to help you with trip expenses. Not nanny expenses, trip expenses.
Trip and nanny expenses, Your Honor.
Listen to me. Correct?
Yes,
because
Your
you say this is a relative of your husband's.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I assume your husband has a job?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what about you?
I'm a stay-at-home mom of 2.
You're a stay-at-home mom. Do you have a home?
We live in an apartment.
Do you pay rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have a car?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your husband has a job?
Yes, Your Honor.
You pay telephone, gas, electric?
Yes, Your Honor.
You pay them by check or cash?
We pay them by money order.
So your husband gets his paycheck, and what does he do with it?
We go.
Don't think fast. What does he do with his paycheck?
He cashes it.
Where?
At the bank.
What bank?
Wells Fargo.
Is that where you keep your account? You can't cash a check there unless...
It's drawn on there.
What kind of work does he do?
A grocer. He's a grocery manager.
How long has he worked there?
11 years.
Is there any reason why you don't have a checking account? Is not an answer. Most people have a reason. If they have a job for 11 years, they have a wife, they have 2 children, they have an apartment, they have gas, electric, telephone. Most people have checking accounts. So don't give me an answer that's not going to sit well with me, Miss Elder. Why don't you have a checking account?
We're unable to get one.
Why?
Bankruptcy.
They won't give you a
last 2 years.
checking account because you have a bankruptcy?
In the last 2 years, yes, Your Honor.
No, my dear. You may not be able to get a checking account because you've committed bank fraud before. That's a possibility.
I've never done that before, Your Honor.
Maybe your husband has.
No, he's not, Your Honor.
Well, if you have a bankruptcy, you can still get a checking account. All you have to do is put money in it.
We have a savings account.
Well, you have a savings account. Well, then you can open up a checking account in the same bank that you have a savings account in. So there's a reason why you don't have a checking account. You have to do the explanation to me how you got the money, she got the shaft, and how she has nerve to sue you. You have an answer?
No, Your Honor.
So why didn't you give her money back?
Because I don't have that money. I didn't give it to her.
She wasn't paid by your relative. There's a difference if your relative said, I'm going to pay your nanny, and he gives her a bad check. She cashed the check and gave the cash to you. Don't you catch the difference?
I catch the difference, Your Honor, but it wasn't, she didn't give me the whole cash.
How much money did she give you? How much money did you give her?
I gave her $1,900, Your Honor.
I have record of $1,500.
So, let's say I believe you now that we're getting to $1,500. She gave you the cash. Why shouldn't you give it back to her if the check was bad?
Well, my relative or my husband's relative should give it to her, not I.
Can I say something? I have record that shows that this was from her account, not from her relative.
Just a second. Maybe the records that you have are going to help me figure out whether she's a thief or dumb.
Okay.
Let me see.
Right.
Bakersfield Police Department advised that the account on which the check was drawn belonged to Christopher and Wendy Elder. However, the account was closed by the bank in August 2001. That makes you a thief instead of just stupid. Now, that's from the police department.
Well, they didn't talk to me at all.
I don't care whether they don't have to talk to you. Explain it to me. The account had been yours. It was closed in 2001.
I don't see how that's possible. We have record that it's still open.
Is what you're telling me now that you acknowledge this is your account? Listen to me, Miss Elder. I'm going to advise you right now, because I feel as if it's my responsibility to advise you, that we are taping this, and that I plan on sending this tape to the local law enforcement authority in Bakersfield. So far, you are very close to admitting to bank fraud. And I feel as if without having the benefit of consulting with an attorney, you would do very well to say to me, I don't think I want to answer these questions anymore, Judge. Because what you say in your answer was, listen, it wasn't my bank account, it was my relatives being about it. Now we come to a fact from your mouth that it was a bank account that belonged to you and your husband. You said, and my relative. Maybe, maybe not. But if it belonged to the three of you and a bad check was written on it and you knew that it was an account that had no funds in it, that's bank fraud, for which you can go to jail. And my sense is, if you are a woman who doesn't have a checking account and who has a husband who's worked in the same place for 11 years, you are no stranger to problems with banks. Do you follow my drift?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you want to answer my questions anymore?
No, Your Honor.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. That's all. Ago, you took a vacation together. You were supposed to split the cost of the vacation, and he still owes you for some of that bill. In addition, after you separated, there was some altercation involving Mr. Johnson, and you claim he assaulted you. You want to be compensated for your pain and suffering as a result of the assault. Mr. Johnson says what was left over from the vacation was a gift, because you said that you would take care of the extra expenses, and that he never assaulted you. As a matter of fact, it was quite the other way around. So, when did this love affair start, and when did it terminate?
We had met in February of '04 while working together, and we had broken up this March.
And when was the vacation that you took?
In February of '05.
Where were you going?
I had purchased Lakers Piston tickets for him for Christmas, so we had went to Detroit, we had watched the game, and we had agreed before we left, everything would be 50-50.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, we were. So we had went to Detroit, and then we had went to Canada for a few days after that.
Well, is it the Detroit trip or the Canada trip that he owes you for?
It's a combination of all of it. There's actually, the total trip balance was $1,468. Therefore, his half of that would have been $734, which he's paid $354.50 and owes $379.50 as the remainder.
So let's take care of that first. Yes?
She's not telling the truth. I was told that, you know, we would go to the game. You know, she said she's going to buy me the tickets. I'm like, okay. She's talking about she wants to go to Canada to go gamble. I'm like, you know, I don't have the money to go gamble in Canada. I really don't want to go. She says, well, we'll put it on my credit card. You know, don't worry about it. You know, it'll be fine. So I'm like, okay, let's go, you know. I agreed to pay her money for the trip to Detroit, you know, at the game and everything. But then, you know.
Well, how much was that part of the trip, Mr. Johnson?
Well, the tickets were free. She bought
No.
them.
Listen to me.
Okay.
How much was your half of the trip to Detroit?
I really don't know. I paid for the hotel, drinks, food, stuff like that.
No, just a second.
Okay.
Was that all put on her credit card?
Well, I gave her the cash. I don't know if she paid with her credit card or whatever. That's on her.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, I have receipts, credit card statements, bank statements from all of the money that was spent. Definitely.
How much was spent from Detroit? I'm just curious.
From Detroit, we've got a charge of $64.59 in the hotel, and then he had bought some drinks at the game itself. That was
well,
all
that's a
from Detroit.
small amount of money. Is that the only bill from Detroit?
That's the only bill from Detroit.
That's what I'm saying.
But he's paid.
Just a second.
He's paid $354.
Just a second.
साढ़ा 150 रुपए का 140 रुपए का पैकेज लगता है 10 GB दिन रात 115 ਨਾਲ लगता है ना ये इसमें लोड कराना पड़ता है सादा इनके दोन दीवाना की गैप आ गया पहले ही तकरीबन आज खत्म नहीं तेरा ही नहीं तेरा डी है मेरी बात सुनना मेरी 5000 5,500 खड़ी है हाँ कदम कम तारीख हो सी आज ही सेले दही आज तेरे ही आज मेरे ही आज
जब असल रिवायती रेसिपीज की सबसे बड़ी रेंज मिले तो रोज बढ़ी आप
हाँ अच्छा इन्हें को लगता है पता लग गया भाई इन्होंने पैकेट में मैं हल्ला ला देता हूँ जितने तो कट्टा है तो खड़ा न रासी ना हाँ अल्लाह प्रेस में कुड़ियाँ ट्रेजिक में वैसे नहीं चलता लाला लाला चलाता रहे नहीं चलता उपका कनेक्ट फिंगा चलता उपका कुछ ही नहीं कोई पता नहीं नहीं ये नहीं डाउनलोडिंग तो लाना डाउनलोडिंग नहीं थी नहीं सही डाउनलोडिंग थी नहीं भाई